When everything is marketing and marketing is everything, taglines and trends are just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. On the M Word, we're talking marketing and mission and the pursuit of what's personal. I'm your host, Jennifer Mulchandani, and you are listening to the M Word podcast presented by Arlington Strategy. Today I'm talking with Hannah Balliet, Director of Communication and Teaching at Ugly Mug Marketing. Hannah helps businesses build predictable marketing systems that consistently produce leads and sales. After launching more than 4,000 social media campaigns, Hannah has had a front row seat to the challenges and rewards faced by marketers today. In our conversation, we talk about transitioning from the nonprofit sector to agency work and the resulting imposter syndrome, to building a team and finding meaning supporting small businesses. I know you'll enjoy this conversation. Hi, Hannah. I'm so glad you're here today.
Hi, it's so good to be here today. I'm so excited.
I am too. I mean, when I first heard of Ugly Mug Marketing, I was like, well, first of all, like props for such a cool company name that you work with. So tell me, just who are you and what do you do in marketing?
Yeah. So my name is Hannah Balliet. I am the Director of Communications and Teaching at Ugly Mug. And at Ugly Mug, I have kind of shifted and evolved into my role that I have today. I've been with the company for 6 years now. And I started as the department or social media department manager. And in that role, I started as party of one. Like I was the department manager, but I was also the person who was doing all the fulfillment and working directly with clients and doing a little bit of the sales side of things too, as people inquired or going out and trying to find new clients. And over the course of about 5 years, grew and scaled that department to one of the largest departments within the company as far as recurring revenue goes, and had a team of about 3 coordinators that were reporting directly to me. And then passed the baton off to one of those coordinators who I felt like it was really his time to shine and to take on that leadership role. Had a lot of belief in him, and he has been carrying the torch since then. But in that transition, I moved over into this role of handling our internal communications for the company, but then also really diving into this like kind of consulting, teaching role as well, both internally and externally, which has been super fun. So I've dabbled in a lot of different aspects of marketing, primarily been in the digital space, but also done the billboards and the print materials and trifolds, all that fun stuff too. So
like all good marketers, like that you got the whole tool belt you carry.
Yes. And, it's like some things I'm like, not super well versed in that, but like know enough to be dangerous or to guide you, right? Or to point you in the right direction. So yeah, it's been really fun.
That's terrific. And when we first talked, you were telling me that, moving into the agency world was a shift for you, that you were working in a nonprofit space. Tell us about like that switch from switching teams, if you will, and what motivated you to do that.
Yeah. So I was in the nonprofit space. I worked for a cancer and Parkinson's research facility, was doing a lot of grassroots marketing, partnering with lots of different schools and companies as they were hosting golf outings and pink out football games, and helping them develop a strong fundraiser within their community, also helping give them the tools to do that, whether that was helping design t-shirts, connecting them with t-shirt vendors, and providing marketing materials, helping them market their events. And I learned very quickly that while I loved the nonprofit world and that had a very, very deep connection to the work specifically that was being done around cancer research. My family has been impacted by cancer, like so many of us. Sadly, there's very few people who can say that their lives haven't been impacted or touched by cancer. And so the work was very meaningful. And so it was challenging to kind of make that shift. But what I learned in the actual work itself was that my skill set and what I really, really was good at was that marketing piece of things. I really loved writing the blog posts and telling the stories of these people. And I was good at the relationship development, both on the side of, hey, I'm meeting with this community partner who's going to be raising funds on our behalf, but also, hey, I'm really good at connecting with these vendors as well that are providing, certain services to us so that we can build out this fundraiser, right? And so I made the shift from being in this event coordinator, marketer type of role into an agency and had so much imposter syndrome. Like I was like, okay, now I'm diving into solely being responsible for someone's social media strategy, their organic content, writing their posts, creating their graphics, but I'm also running ads, which was actually something that I really had not done a ton of in that previous role. But again, new enough to be dangerous, right? So as I shifted over to Ugly Mug, what I loved about that transition for me and why I feel like I really landed in the right place at the right time was the mentality at Ugly Mug was I can teach you how to run ads, right? Like that's a skill that I can
Exactly.
teach you
Yeah.
on the spot, but I can't really teach you how to be kind to clients and be a hard worker and, to have the right personality for this role and engage with our clients in a way that makes them feel that you really care about them. Like there's some of those soft skills, right? That you can't just teach to somebody. But then there are those skills of, yes, the actual work itself of creating graphics. Like we can teach people how to do that. And I really feel like our owner and founder Wayne Mullins really believed in me, and he saw that work ethic and the energy that I had and brought to the table. But he was like, I can teach you how to run some Facebook ads, right? Like you studied marketing in school, you get what we're doing here, but I can teach you some of those more like tactical skills, right? So as I made that transition, I think him having that mindset and that belief in me made the transition a lot easier as well. But still, just that imposter syndrome too of, okay, I've been in the nonprofit space and my primary goal has been I'm raising funds. What does it look like now to be in a space where I'm helping a coffee shop like make money and selling coffee, like
So you talk about like how do you define your personal sort of success there or fulfillment, or like how do I know if I'm good at my job? Like the dollars are easy to measure. If I'm good at my job raising money, they make more money. If I'm good at my
yeah,
job as a marketer, marketing is not sales. And we'll get into a little bit the difference there, but it's like, is that what you're talking about? Or
yeah.
was it more the like selling your soul to private enterprise after being in the non just to
I,
put it, so
yeah,
bluntly.
but I do kind of feel like it was like that. Like I was doing this work where I was raising money and it felt really good, right? Like I was like helping, these labs and these doctors be able to raise funds to do clinical trials. And now I'm helping this company grow and scale. Like, yeah, like what does that look like? And no, marketing is not always just sales. There's so much more to it than that, which again, we could talk about later. But yeah, I think it was a little bit of that like stark contrast, but also I think part of it was how am I measuring success? Like, what does success look like to me in this role personally, but also for each of these individual clients? Everyone had such a different goal. Whereas I was working at an organization where the only goal was to raise as much money as possible or to be
Right.
at, raise more money than last year. And so, yeah, every single one of these clients had such a different need. And the way that we were approaching their marketing, yes, on all of them may have been on social, but there were certainly different types of campaigns that we were running, different ways to reach all of their unique, different target
Mhm.
customers and personas. And so that was a little bit of a challenge and a shift for me too, to try to identify what each client's target audience was and trying to like keep up with those. It just felt a little more fast paced in some ways too.
Well, the
And
mental load shifts, right? Like I think, and we
yeah,
talk about this internally with our team, that it's not like, okay, I get 10 hours each for each client a week. So it's 40 hours divided by four. It's more than that because now you're carrying the weight of four sets of expectations, and it's the mental
yes.
load. So it's like I think that in an agency setting, And it's why going back to your soft skills, which I want to probe a little bit more on that, but
Yeah.
I think that it's not just there's a lot to juggle. It's like, can you emotionally withstand having multiple clients versus when you work in-house for somebody and it's a singular mission, a shared mission across the organization. I think that's a
Yes.
stark difference in pursuing careers in an agency or consulting world versus in-house.
Yes. And these people are coming to you for help specifically to grow and scale their business, right? Like they're like, we need help. Like we
Mm-hmm.
want to run Facebook ads so we can make money, right? Like ultimately, like that's how they're viewing it. And so, yes, their expectations are now on me to deliver and to produce. And that was something that felt really, really stressful at first too, because I'm like, all right, that's your expectation. Now this other client, they have slightly different expectations. Maybe we're working specifically on branding, right? And just brand awareness. And it did feel like the pressure was on to deliver. And I think part of it was just for myself too, to prove that I could make that transition from, fundraising and nonprofit world into this agency space and working with, small to medium sized business owners and entrepreneurs who their livelihood like depended on that too. And I've never taken that lightly, especially when we're working with, one of our clients was a coffee shop, Little Cakes with Big Attitude. And they were two moms, two women who had been in business for, at that time, maybe brick and mortar had been open for 7 years, maybe not even that long. But anyway, like I was just like, I care about Bridget and Robin, and this is their livelihood, and I want to be a part of them reaching their sales goals or, beating their goal for, from Valentine's Day of last year, which is
Right.
always their biggest holiday. I want to help them outbeat that, from last year, whether I was a part of it or not. And so, yeah, it felt like, yeah, a lot of pressure initially on myself as someone who's just naturally an achiever, but also just like kind of carrying that weight of what I knew it meant to them.
But I think that's also like looking for parallels between when you work in nonprofits and there's a feel good aspect of,
Yeah.
it's not altruism because you're collecting a paycheck, like it's a job. It's still how you make your own livelihood, but there's that feel good aspect. And I think, what I'm hearing you say, and I relate to so much is like when you work with small businesses as clients, there's that same level of feel good because you aren't just serving some corporate machine.
Yeah.
There's human emotions involved on the client side that I don't think you get when you're consulting with really large entities where they're also, for lack of a better word, a cog in the machine where they work. But when
Yes.
we're serving clients who, they have a payroll. This is how they pay their mortgage. This is like and you get that human relationship going. I think that's where the feel good of like, my Facebook campaign matters because their
Yeah.
livelihoods matter. I love that
Yeah.
part of it. But so at what point, if yet,
Yeah.
did that imposter syndrome evolve for you or change or fall? Like, was it a one day you wake up and you go, aha, I am enough, or
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah, I think it probably took me a good 2 years to really be like, I am good at this. This is my natural gifting. This is something that I really enjoy doing. I am a creative writer. I know what works and what doesn't work. I understand how to collectively build a marketing strategy that's actually going to deliver, X, Y, or Z results based on the client and their needs. I think where maybe it came back was then when I had to hire my first employee, right? I'm like, I've never managed a team. Here I've been the department manager, of the social media team, but it's only been me, right? And so then it kind of shifted into how do I be a great leader? And have I been leading myself well, first of all, because it really kind of starts with me and leading myself well and being a good example so that I'm not turning and looking at, team member number one and saying, do as I say, not as I do, right? Like that's not the type of leader that I wanted to be. It certainly isn't the type of leader that Wayne, our owner, has ever been to me. And so I had another little bit of a shift there of imposter syndrome, but really mostly just growth. Because there were a lot of mistakes that I made with employee A that maybe I didn't make with employee B. And then, eventually shifted over to an entirely different team of, 3 individuals. And so I think it's just been lots of learning and evolving. And every now and then I feel like I'm on a call or I'm talking to someone who seems so much more important to me than me, or is so much more knowledgeable than me. But then I remember, you're paying me to be here. Like you're paying my company. You've seen the work that I've done. You've hired me either to consult on this project, or you've hired me to run your Facebook ads. And so I have to remember and remind myself every day that I am the expert. I have a track record. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. I have results and proof to back it up. And I think that just that holding on to that reminder, also just thinking back to where I started and to where I am now too, that always makes me feel a little bit better, as that imposter syndrome kind of, sneaks up on us sometimes. So
yeah, it is interesting. And I mean, I applaud you because I feel like you came into that knowing earlier in your career than I did, but it's really empowering when you realize I know my shit.
yes.
And it doesn't mean I have, and I think really the arrival is the best when you can sit in a room of seemingly more important people, the clients who are paying, or the older whomever, or the leader, or whatever, and say with confidence, like, that's a really hard question that I don't have the answer to, but I'm going to figure it out, and not feel like you let people down. Because when you can get to that level, and I tell junior people this all the time, it's like, everybody's just making it up. Everybody's sitting in a seat playing a role, no matter who they are around the table. And nobody knows everything that they want to know. And if they do, they're probably bored at a certain point. Like there's going to come a certain point where you have to go and figure it out, and you don't know the answer in that moment. And that's so empowering to then, but to still own your space and be able to say, I don't know. Yeah. So since you then transitioned to managing people and having to hire people, those soft skills that you talked about, I'm so curious, when you're vetting, whether it be resumes or having interviews, how much weight do you give to, and this is gonna be a longer question because I'm going to add to it, weight do you give to that formal training side of it versus sort of personality and capacity or capability, especially because, and I want to know the answer to this too, you've been out of doing the social implementation now, right? Now you're playing a different role, how quickly it evolves. Those hard skills, if you don't maintain them, they're dated and irrelevant. So how do you weigh that, finding your talent for your employees when it is such an evolving technical landscape that they are being asked to implement?
Yes. I really love the way that we hire at Ugly Mug. I love our questions that we ask people. We're more so focused on who are you as a person, and less focused on, let me see your resume and everything that you've done in the past. Because we have hired people right out of school. We have hired people who have been in completely different industries that have nothing to do with marketing, and they've been really successful. We have people on our team who have degrees from small colleges and universities, and we have people who have their MBA from Alabama. It is a whole wide gamut of backgrounds, deeply diverse backgrounds that are all coming together and working on this team and being successful in their own right. And one of the things that I love that we do in our hiring is we actually don't ask for your resume. If you want to pass it along, you are more than welcome to, and I will certainly look at it. but I'm more so looking at answers to situational type questions. We also ask people to submit a video. We have a question, we share with them our mission and vision, and we ask them to submit a short video explaining why they would be a great fit to the team and how they would contribute to that mission and vision. And I think the way that someone presents themselves on that video, the way that they speak, you can tell a lot, even just from that video alone. Now,
Yeah.
recording a video of yourself is uncomfortable. And especially when you're watching it back, you're like, oh, why did I move my head like that? Or I said 15 times or whatever it may be. But there's so much for us that can be shown and that can be learned by us as the reviewers by that brief video and them selling themselves to us essentially. And I really love that piece of it. There's also just some other components too of kind of that's like part one. And then part two is we ask questions like, what does your closet look like? Is it organized or is it, like things like that tell us a little bit about them as a person. And you would get surprised at how honest people are. People are like, it is not organized whatsoever. There's stuff all over my room, like floor in my room, right? But we do take those questions very seriously because again, we're just trying to get a sense of who they are. And then in the interview process, I'm looking, I'm asking questions about, tell me a time where you disagreed with someone that you were working with or that you were doing a group project with in class, and how did you navigate that? Did you confront them with the problem? Did you let it pass you by? How did you end up just doing the project all by yourself and, completely throwing them to the wayside and just being like, I can do it. I'm looking for just to learn more about who they are, their type of work ethic that they have. And so all of our questions are really tailored towards that. And then another component that we have within our hiring is we ask them to come in for a couple of hours and we give them some like tasks to do. We essentially give them this giant stack of paper and we're like, here's everything that like needs to get done today. You sort through and prioritize what like actually needs to get done. Because we need someone who can prioritize, like who has those time management skills. And so that's always a fun activity. Some
Very
people
creative.
people that have been hired have been like, oh my gosh, like that was like the most stressful part, like not even meeting the owner of the company, like whatever, like doing that. But we're really looking for someone like, okay, are you paying attention to the details on what each of those tasks listed out say? Because one of them is like, it's a fake scenario, but they're treating it as if it's real, but it says something along the lines of, Wayne has a 2:00 meeting and here's the client he's meeting with. And the client is expecting a list of ideas to help promote his plastic surgery company. And seeing that key component that it's at 2:00. So you have to go and talk to Wayne before 2:00,
Right.
Again, like those details, but really looking for someone who's detail oriented is also really key to success in our team. And those are just skills that you learn over time, right? Like being organized in school, whether that was high school or, in college, and managing your time well. I think about our interview with Megan, who's one of our digital marketing specialists. She was a resident, like before coming to us, she was working in higher ed. She was working as a dorm director at the University of Alabama while she was getting her MBA. She had no idea what she really wanted to do next, but was moving back to Alexandria, Louisiana, where our headquarters are. And I just remember meeting with her, and she was so warm, and she presented herself so well. She was very great and tactful at answering questions, but never too quick just to start talking, which is something that I always tell our kind of people who are coming in. Like you mentioned earlier, it's okay to not have an answer or just need to take a beat and think about your response rather than just firing off, something right off the bat.
Do that more.
Right?
We need to do that more in this world. It's think before you speak.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
for
so,
sure.
and And I loved that about her. And I feel like she just had that skill, like that just seemed like an innate part of who she was. And so, and she's been someone who on the client side of things, her clients love working with her. She has the personality. She gets along. She's able to make those connections with people. People feel like, they really know Megan and that Megan really knows them and that she cares deeply about them and their business and their goals and whatever it is that they're after. And I don't know that I could teach someone else to do that part of it. But when Megan came in, she had never run a Facebook ad before, but I could tell that she was teachable. Right. And so, are you willing to take feedback? And that's another question that we asked too is, tell me about a time you got critiqued or you got feedback on something.
So the teaching part, because now that's where you've ended up.
Yes.
And I think it's a great full circle moment because it is about enabling your team, but also enabling our clients. I mean, the best marketing in the world, like you still need your clients to not just be on board and understand, but participate. The most authentic, genuine marketing, you're going to have client participation. And it sounds like you're enabling that capacity on the client side as well as internally.
Yes. And one of the things that I am really passionate about is the teaching and the education side. I never want our clients to feel like we're just kind of spitting these vanity metrics at them. Oh, this is how many impressions we got. This is how many people we reached. Like, I want them to like truly understand what it is that we're presenting them. And I want us to be presenting the results that really matter the most to them, right? And that takes us taking a little bit of teaching and learning from them, right? Like really understanding their business and where they're at and where they're looking to grow in the next, 3, 5, 10 years down the road. Where is it that they're after? Because everything that I do today as a marketer for your company contributes to that, right? And so there's also this educational component too on our end, obviously, of, hey, here's what, this metric means, but also here's why I'm suggesting that we do this. Like, not just, hey, we need to do email. Like, well, here's why, because, we've got all of these people who like your Facebook page. I'm going to come back to our friends at Little Cakes with Big Attitude. We were like, hey, y'all have 13,000 organic. These are not bots, like followers on your Facebook page, but your email list is only of 200. Tell me more about why you haven't, done email. Here's why I think email would be a great way. We don't own those 13,000 people that are on your Facebook page, right? Your Facebook page could be deleted tomorrow. And so how would you then go about communicating with those people? Well, let's do something to try and get those people slowly over time onto an email list. And let's create some content and things that they're really going to care about, because this is how most people and businesses, at least that I work with, feel about email marketing. They're like, ugh, another email, another chance for someone to unsubscribe. We're just going to annoy them. And I'm like, no, let's like deeply understand who your target audience is so that we can actually provide them with content or information or offers that they really care about, right? We don't have to spam people. Gosh, if I get another email from Bed Bath & Beyond, they do not know me and what I care about, right? But Little Cakes with Big Attitude,
that's right. And I think especially on the local front, small business people want to connect, and it's okay. Your whole 13,000 followers aren't going to subscribe, but the ones that do want your content. And I think that's fantastic. So to bring this to a natural close, if folks want to hear more about what Ugly Mug Marketing is doing, where do they find you?
Yeah, you can find us on our website, uglymugmarketing.com. You can find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And then if you want to connect with me personally, you can just search for me on LinkedIn as well, Hannah Balliet.
Awesome. And before I let you go, Hannah, I told you this was going to come. Are you Barbie or Ken?
I'm going to say Barbie.
Why?
I loved the Barbie movie. I'm assuming this is why you're asking this question, but I loved the Barbie movie, and I I loved America Ferrera's like monologue in that movie. I just thought it was so powerful. And I just loved how Barbie completely shifted. I remember when I started the movie, I was like, what am I watching here? I
Yes.
think I think many people felt that way as they were watching the movie, but to see how she evolved and who she really is and why Barbie was really created, I thought that that was so powerful for women across the world, and I thought
Yeah.
the movie was just excellent. So I'm team Barbie.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your perspective there. I am right with you. So thanks so much, Hannah. This was fun to chat with you and appreciate your time on the M word today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for listening to the M Word. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Subscribe and never miss a podcast. Visit arlingtonstrategy.com for more. The M Word is an Arlington Strategy production hosted by Jennifer Mulchandani. Our theme music is by Moochie. Graphic design by Kayla Fagan and Emily Rare. Sound engineering and editing by Winston Turner.